compare it 100% to it, but I mean, it looked good. He looked strong. He looked explosive. Looked like he had his speed, and he was breaking tackles. He was making moves. So I mean, just really excited about what he was able to do in that game.
And when it comes to where the offense is in fourth quarters, obviously that's been a problem for the Lions since before you even got here last year. What do you feel like can be done offensively to keep from being in that situation over and over and over again?
Yeah, I think we need to continue to just continue to make plays, continue to be consistent. And, I think, when you look at the game, there was 8 drives, the first 8 drives, we had some kind of points, whether it was a touchdown, whether it was a field goal. And then it gets to that point where, the last 4 drives where we don't end up scoring anything. Now, there was a missed field goal in there, opportunity, but just continuing to make plays, continuing to take it one play at a time, not getting ahead of yourself, not worrying about the score, not looking at what's happening anywhere else, just taking it one play at a time and being able to play at a consistent level. And I think if we do that, if we continue to do that, play one play at a time and 11 guys playing together, then all that will take care of itself. That's kind of the message that I had for him.
Thanks, Darrell.
Yep.
Rob Beard.
Hey, Bev, in terms of Quintez Cephas and what you saw from him in his first game, the number of targets and how he performed with that, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, he kind of took over an important role. When Kenny goes down, he kind of just stepped right into there. So I was kind of happy for him, proud to see what he did. I think he was on his assignments, which is huge for a young player. Obviously there's still some details and things in there that he can continue to improve on, but he was, for the most part, he was at the right place, the right time. There's plays for him to be made there as well. And, the plays are sometimes different things. The quarterback's got to read out each and every play, and you kind of have a preliminary idea like where the ball might go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go there every time. So he ended up getting a little bit more opportunities, and I thought he did a nice job with it.
And then in terms of your backs, that Swift had the most snaps. What do you see of that rotation that between Swift, Peterson, and Carrion?
Yeah, well, we like all 3 of those guys, obviously, and they all bring a little bit different pieces to the puzzle. And there was some situational football in there that elevated some guys' snaps. Just the way we're using them, and so I think you'll continue to see that rotation a little bit. And obviously you start getting a guy with a hot hand, and Adrian was running really well in that last game, so he got a few more carries in there as well. So we'll just continue to kind of go in that area. We really like all 3 of those guys, but we're going to try to, like I always say, going to try to put them in the best spots to help them be successful.
Appreciate it.
So Tim, next.
Hey, Bev, you mentioned it. You had a couple drives stall out in the red zone a little bit. When you went back and watched the tape, what do you think you guys can do a little bit better in that red zone to maybe punch in a couple of those and not have to settle for field goals there?
Yeah, I mean, we started the first 2 drives that we got down in the red zone. We ended up stalling, and there's just different. There was different things on both of those. The first one, I think Cephas had a chance to catch the ball, which ends up putting that third down play, much closer and with a better opportunity to convert it. So I think we ended up with like a 3rd and 8 on that one. And then the second time we got down there, some of the things they were doing, we started with a couple runs. Just continuing to make good decisions, give them good calls to be able to be successful with it, execute call. It all comes together. I think the next 2 times down there, we ended up scoring touchdowns. And then obviously the last time we ended up on the 16. So that's a red zone opportunity and as well. So, all of it, I think, works together, and, we'll continue to try to improve in that area.
Chris?
Hey, Darrell, thanks for the time.
Yeah.
Just wanted to follow up a little bit on what Mike asked you, because you mentioned going that stretch without being able to score, but you had the missed field goal was, a 4.5 minute drive. I'm sure in terms of ball control, you guys were pretty happy with how that went. And then the drive after that ended in the interception, obviously was, 3 plays and you give them the ball right back. Without going into individual play calls too much, how do you sort of find that balance between being too conservative and still making sure that you're doing what you need to do in those spots?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. I don't, you're trying to, still play the game. So the third to last drive, I think you're referring to, which was the field goal drive. There was good mix run pass. There's shot play opportunities. And there's runs, there's passes. I think there was 2 explosive runs on there. We count an explosive run, a 12-yard run or more. And I think we had 2 in that drive. So the ball was moving well. And then, we ended up taking a sack that was really a bad play on our part, and and made that a long field goal. So third down, we tried to get it back into field goal range, and just we made the kick long. I mean, you can put that on the offense by taking that sack. We didn't need to take it. We were moving the ball well. And then the next drive, it's at that point where you're trying to still run the clock, and however you want to do that. We had been running the ball well. We felt good about how we were running it. I think it was over 4 yards of carry. So we went with that, and those 2 runs keep the clock moving, but also our opportunity to keep the clock moving. But then also put us in a situation where we had a 3rd and 5 for the third down play, and anywhere and 6 or less, then we ought to be at a pretty good clip being able to convert those, and we weren't able to do it. But not only that, we put the ball in harm's way and gave them an opportunity on their end of the field. So just a couple of really bad plays on our part there in those last 2 drives. And then still have an opportunity at the end of the game to be able to have a chance to win it. We were confident, we were comfortable in that. We worked those situations all the time, and at least we had a shot to still be in to win the game.
And then just real quick on, you mentioned the backfield. Coach Patricia talked about Adrian Peterson's patience and how well he sees the field, and a couple of those long runs you got from him were pretty evident of that. You had to wait for them to develop a little bit, find those holes. I mean, how much can those younger guys, and maybe carry on especially, take from him just rewatching those situations and finding those gaps that maybe they aren't seeing or haven't seen before?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all can learn. I think we all learn in the way that you're talking about. We always go back to the film and put that on and try to improve ourselves in any of those areas. And I think the backs are would be no question. Obviously, Adrian's been doing this for a long time, and he's been doing it at a very high level. So being able to watch a guy doing it like that, whether it's what you're talking about, some of the patience that he shows, or whether it's the acceleration that he shows to be able to get through the hole, some of the second level decisions that he makes as well. I think all of those are on display. He's an open book. He wants to help us as much as he can. So I know that he is talking to those young guys, as well as, Kyle Caskey, the running back coach. So I think it's always good to have a great example in front of you. And, we have one of the best to ever do it, being able to show him that.
Thank you.
Got time for one more, guys, if anyone has one.
Hey, Darrell, this is Dave. I'm sorry, I'll put my video on here too, but I'll chime in. I'm just curious with the because there's no fans in the stands. I'm wondering how that adds to you guys on game days. What you're able to decipher from the game tape in terms of defensive calls and adjustments that may be easier or different this year than in past seasons. If that could at all be a factor going forward. Yeah,
Dave, like this Zoom thing, I can't even tell who's asking the question, so that doesn't pop up for me. But anyway, I wish I could see and talk to you. But anyway, the crowd noise. I mean, it's a whole different ball game right now, just in terms of how the game goes for us. And the ebbs and flows that sometimes you have, or the crowd being able to kind of crank you up or not, the difficulty with the crowd noise or not. And that's one of the things I think that we're just beginning to learn, take a look at, like even in-game situations, how much are they hearing? How much are they able to decipher? And then, there was a couple of times you could hear the Bears yelling from the sideline, so, and then, being able to go back to the TV copy. There's always coaches that are involved in going back to TV copies and seeing what you can glean from that. So, we're doing everything that we can to be able to help ourselves in those situations. And I think it's really a learning experience for all of us right now with the way these games are going and, the new, low hum of the crowd noise.
What's the feedback that you've gotten, or your own, personal interpretation, I guess? How different is it than past years in terms of what you can pick up and how that might be able to help you, in future Sundays? That is.
Yeah, I think it's still early, to tell you that right now, since we've only done it one time. But I can tell you it was a whole new situation for all of us. So I think you asked me maybe in even next week or in another week, so that we've had some more experience with it, and probably be able to give you a better answer.
Fair enough. Are you changing calls every week though, just to be conscious of it?
Well, we definitely have to be conscious of it. Yes. Whether it's your signals, whether it's your calls, those kind of things, you definitely have to be conscious of it.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. We'll have Cory up next. Thanks, Bev.
We're going to have our hands full there, regardless of who's out there. Obviously know about J. Cole, but whether it's any of the DBs that go out there, whoever plays the star position, whoever plays corner, we got a good fight on our hands this week. So it'll be all hands on deck as well this week. We'll go through practice, get prepared, and we'll see what it looks like when we get to Sunday. But you talk about the wideouts, and I think those wideouts are a direct reflection of the quarterback. And you guys are very familiar with the guy. Had the opportunity to play against him a few times in the last few years. So we got to bring it. We got to be at our best. And if we're not, then it'll be a long day. So look forward to the challenge. These guys are, we put that game to bed yesterday, and look forward to having those guys back in the building tomorrow, and look forward to this matchup and getting going and having a great week of practice. And then we'll go out there and line up again with whoever's out there and do everything we can to help win the game.
Mike?
Hey, Cory, I've got two for you. First, how do you feel your first game as a defensive coordinator went for you?
Well, we didn't win the game, so you could just stop the conversation right there. I get the question. It was good until the last there. We couldn't find a way to make a play at the end, which at the end of the day comes back to me. I got to do a better job and see if I can help those guys, put them in better positions. But first three quarters, I think everybody's alluded to it. Third down on the sneak to start the game, got off the field. It was good. The communication, players on the sideline, everybody, it was great. But at the end of the day, it's all for naught when you can't find a way to win the game at the end. And I know there's a lot of plays. Everyone's talking about the last drive and all that other thing that you can look at. But I could pick off a dozen or so plays in the game from the first quarter to the second, third, and could have helped us and helped the team win. And going forward, we got to find a way to make some of those. We had two balls that hit us in the hands. And then we had a ball on the ground there, really three balls that hit us in the hands. That one that hit Tracy, that was a fastball. That's going to be a hard one to get. But and then we had a fumble on the sack. We had a ball on the ground, and we couldn't come up with it. So, early in the season when you're playing these games early, especially with the scenario that we're in, no training camp, no preseason games, we talked about it. Matt talked about it all week. It's going to come down to turnovers, and they got one and we didn't. So we got to come up with those. We got to capitalize on those opportunities when we get them, and we'll move forward, and hopefully we can do that.
Trubisky said that early on you did a good job disguising defenses, and then at the end in the fourth quarter you went to man. Wondering why you made that switch when things seemed to be working well and Trubisky maybe seemed to be confused.
Yeah, I would say that we played probably a little bit more man at the end when it was in the red zone. But we did not play all man. Some of it might look like it, but it was not all man. So I would question him on that. Not that I'm questioning him on it, but when you get to the end of the game right there and you got to tighten things up, that'll have something to do with it. But I'm not second guessing any of that. Guys played a good mixture of the entire game plan, whether it was man or zone, all day long. And then, at the end, however you see it, you see it. We needed to make one more play, and we couldn't get it done. So that's what it is.
Thanks, Cory. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Like Dave's frozen, we'll go to Jeremy.
Hey, Cory, thanks for your time. Moving to the Packers here. Seems like pre-snap motion is kind of a big part of their game plan. I'm just kind of curious as to what sort of pressure that puts on you in terms of being able to disguise your looks and things like that.
Yeah, it does put some pressure on you. I would say, obviously, we only got one game on him here from Sunday, excuse me. And they've had that. They had a good amount of it last year. I think when you watch only one game from Sunday, it just tends to show up a lot more. But they do a good job with it. He did a good job with it when last year. They got a couple new pieces in there that can go across the formation with the motion, and we call it missile motion when that guy goes full speed across. Do a good job just trying to mess with your eyes and getting the linebackers and the safeties kind of out of spots and start looking at things you're not supposed to look at. And then the skies obviously will depend on what we're playing on defense. Sometimes it doesn't bother you, sometimes it does. So put together a good plan, and obviously we're going to have to deal with that all day long. We'll see how much they do it, but they're good at it, so we're going to have to practice it. And so by the time we get to Sunday, we can be in a good spot and not let that stuff mess with us. So he does a good job with it, though. So
We'll go two more, Dave, then Brad.
Hey, Cory, I'm back. Sorry about that. Brief
no problem.
Correction there, connection problem there. Two things. Just Jeff Okuda, do you expect to have him this weekend? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, I'll let Matt talk about the injury status on the players. We're going to go through the week and we'll evaluate everybody and we'll see what happens when we get to Sunday. Can't answer that right now. We'll see. He's been getting better. You guys you asked me about that. Somebody asked me that question last week. Excuse me. I can't remember who actually asked it, but he's been getting better as he's coming along here. So big week for him here. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll make a decision when we get to the game on who's going to be out there.
Fair enough. Big week, obviously, like you said, for him, big test if he is out there. So I want to ask you sort of big picture when it comes to rookie cornerbacks. We've seen some rookie cornerbacks have some pretty good success the last couple of years. Denzel Ward, obviously, it looks like C.J. Henderson played well the other day from the stats. Just in your history, what has troubled rookie cornerbacks, and what have they done well, maybe lately, or done well under you that's helped them sort of shorten this curve that some of them have had historically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case-by-case basis, on who the guy is and where he's playing and what scheme you're in. And I would say I've been around a few really good ones, a few rookies that we've got, and I think every scenario is different. I would say that I've never had a rookie that we have drafted or signed undrafted in free agency after the draft is over that hasn't come in and had a learning curve. Those guys are going to come out. Some of those guys are going to go out and make plays. And there is a learning curve, obviously, with the speed of the game, the lights of the game, whether there's fans in the stands or not, it doesn't matter. It's a big change. So some guys adapt to it more fast than others. Some guys it takes them a little bit. So there's always going to be some steps to be had with those guys, no matter what position you play. But you can go line up out there on a wideout on Sunday afternoons. The hat is on you. And there's a lot of pressure that goes to that position. That's why you have to do a good job in evaluating those guys so that when they get out there, it's not too big for them. And I don't think it's ever, whenever that is for Jeff, I don't think it's going to be too big. Will there be some learning curve? Sure, there's going to be. That's the price you pay for playing that position. But no matter what happens, I think he's going to end up in a good spot, and he's going to help us win a lot of games.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Brad, one more.
Cory, with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, there's so much tape on him. He's had a long, successful career. I'm sure you and everybody in the defensive side of the ball in the NFL know what he likes to do, know the tendencies. But then when he has that success, how do you go into a week preparing for a guy like that?
If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't share it anyways. Yeah, you got to have everything covered. Let's just start with the pass rush. You gotta try to hopefully put some pressure on the guy so he doesn't stand back there. He's really good at extending plays. He obviously can throw the ball all over the field. He can make every throw, short, long, deep, across the field, both sidelines. It doesn't matter. So you got to have some tight coverage on the guy. You got to try to change it up so he doesn't know what's happening. If you show him the same picture every single day, then it's not going to be a good day. Players know that. We know that. So you got to be sound in all three levels, so that's what we're working on right now, to put one together that make it hard on him and give us a chance here to keep it close and then find a way to end up on top at the end of the game. Not easy, easy in theory, hard in execution. So I like where we're at right now. I like where the players are at right now after yesterday and then seeing some of those guys in the building today. So tough challenge, but I think our guys are going to be up for it. I know they will be, and we'll go out there and do everything we can to help the team win.
If I could do one quick follow-up, last year the pass rush was an issue for this group, and I know you bring Trey Flowers back. It seemed like he got more comfortable as the year went on, but were you satisfied with the pass rush on this past Sunday's game?
Yeah, I mean, we ended up with one sack there. I think if we asked any pressure on this guy, you've got to cover first. And when you can cover, then it gives those guys an opportunity to rush. If you don't, then the ball comes out of his hand in less than 2 seconds, a lot less than that, actually, most of the time. So it's out. So, it starts with the coverage first, and then if the coverage is good and it's sound, then we can help those guys actually have a chance to get to the quarterback. So all three phases there, from the front to the back.
All right. Thanks, Cory. Thanks, everybody.
Got it.
Next with Brayden here.
Get home, or hopefully be asleep by the time I get home. But big football fan, big Lions fan, so I'm sure his mom will make sure he sees this. Just want to give a quick birthday shout out, Killer Cam. Happy birthday, buddy. Miss you. See you in a couple of days here.
All right, Stoney, start us off.
Can you evaluate Fox for his first NFL game? He really seemed to handle the pressure really good. I guess the last punt was a little short, but all in all, he seemed to do a really good job.
Yeah, I think he did do a good job. Happy for him to go out there and really just do what we knew he was capable of doing. I think, like I kind of alluded to all throughout camp, there's a big difference between doing it in practice and doing it when it's for real and you got, live action all around you. He handled it great. Little bit had some nerves pregame, which is totally something would be wrong if he didn't, and just kind of worked through it, settled in and hit a great one to start out. And I think that kind of boosted his confidence, and really throughout the rest of the day, did a really good job. Not perfect, but certainly showed us what he can do, and he'll continue to work to get better and strive for perfection next week.
Thank you.
Dave, next.
Happy birthday to your son. It's my son's birthday too, as a matter of fact. So
there you go. Appreciate it, Dave.
Robin for him today or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, I wanted to ask you about the dynamic at gunner. Obviously, who knows what happens this week, but you lose 2 cornerbacks in the game. The gunners are obviously pressed into more duty there for you this past week. If you do have to make changes this week, is it better timing because it's so close to training camp and you work, a dozen guys there? Is it worse timing? Just how do you sort of sort through that dynamic?
Yeah, no question. I think one of the biggest jobs of a special teams coach is to make sure that you have the next man ready at all times. Within a game, from week to week, constantly changing. As guys move up the roster, it's kind of on us to get the new guys ready to go and have them ready to play. So definitely think we're comfortable with some of the guys that are here, like you alluded to, that have been on the practice squad. And I think, a big part of the message that I just kind of voiced to our guys coming out of camp was that with the difference in rules this year in particular, and the flexibility kind of for practice squad guys to be moving up, moving back, they got to stay ready at all times. They have to treat every week as if they're playing really all the way up until 90 minutes before game time, because they don't know, we had guys that were on call all the way up until like 11 a.m. Sunday. So it's difficult, for those guys. I'm sure it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but it's part of being a professional is for them to stay ready. And we certainly have a deep group of guys, like we talked about in camp, and guys that are itching for their opportunity. So if it shakes out that way, they'll be ready to make the most of it. We'll make sure that they're ready to go. And, we got to see what happens with the guys that are already up. And we have no idea really at this point how that's going to go. It's just more a general philosophy of having everybody ready at all times. So you stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
And then I want to ask about Agnew's game too. He looked like he was, shoestring tackle away from breaking the one of them.
Yeah. Yep, we're really close, and guys are collectively, you know, not just him, we're kicking ourselves over that watching tape because you hate to get that close and leave the opportunities out there on the field. But I think for him, it was a great start. You know, one thing as a returner, you know, and I did that stuff in high school and college, and I wasn't any good at it, but I can relate to the mentality of just, you know, you get a new system in front of you and a new, you know, whole new schemes and things like that. And you're like, okay, this sounds good. But is it really going to work? And then, you know, for us to have a couple seams and for things to look okay for him, I could just kind of sense his confidence growing throughout the game with each opportunity he got. So I think that, you know, that's definitely going to continue trending in the right direction for him. He's got all the natural ability in the world, which we all know. So just a matter of, you know, he, myself, and all the rest of the guys that are blocking collectively gaining familiarity and trust in one another takes 11. So as we continue to just kind of build that chemistry and trust in one another, hopefully we'll be able to continue to make some more plays with the opportunities that we get. I'm really excited about him, have been since I got here. Just going to keep pushing him to keep getting better week in and week out.
Mike?
Hey, Brayden, how are you?
Doing all right, Mike. How about yourself?
I'm all right. This might be a very kind of minutia question and more of an inside process question and might even be a little bit of a dumb one, but how much say do you have in going for a long field goal versus punting? Or is that all above you?
You know, Coach Patricia and I are in constant communication throughout the week and then throughout the game. You know, I don't know how hard that is to tell with the masks on and with most of that communication happening over the headsets. It's all collaborative. You know, obviously he makes the final decision on just about everything that happens with our team. But we're talking about everything, and you'd have to ask him, I guess, how much he weighs my input. But certainly, like most things within our coaching staff, you know, we're all working together. We're all in sync. We're all on the same page, trying to do what we can do to help him, you know, when it comes time to make the final decision.
Were you comfortable with the decision to go for the field goal versus punting it in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, no question. You know, I think for us, you know, first off, with Matt Prater, I wouldn't trade him for anybody in this league at his position. Both, you know, talent-wise and just his demeanor, his makeup. He's a stud, and here he's one of our best players. In the fourth quarter, you look to your best players to make plays, and maybe that sounds unusual to some people because he's a kicker, and not everybody looks at specialists the same as you know, other guys on the team. But make no mistake about it, he's one of our best players. So when it's crunch time or dagger time, as we like to say around here, you count on your best players to make plays, and I've seen him make that kick almost every single time that he's attempted it since I've been here. So I have all the confidence in the world in him, and I still do. I'll do the same thing again next week. 55 yards for him. We expect him to make it. He wants to go kick that kick, and he expects himself to make it. Just didn't work out for us on Sunday. Not many kickers in the history of the NFL that I'm aware of have ever been perfect, and I'm sure he would like to give it another shot. It just doesn't work that way, but certainly had all the confidence in the world at the time that he was going to go out there and bang it through and really kind of put the game away for us.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Brayden. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Yep, no problem. Thanks, guys.